Good afternoon, class. So today we're going to discuss about the principles of macroeconomics. But first, we will going to define what is macroeconomics. So there are various definitions of macroeconomics, but here we have a definition stated. So macroeconomics is a branch of economics dealing with performance, structure, behavior, and decision making of an economy as a whole. So it talks about the entire condition of an economy. So now let's proceed to our topic, which is principles of macroeconomics. First, the introduction to economics. It focuses on exchanges among consumers and firms that are in the market to purchase goods and services. In other words, there is an interaction between suppliers and producers. So, by this, purchasing of goods and services in the market, so there is an interrelated actions of consumers and firms. So, macroeconomics deliberately focuses on how to achieve the profit maximization. So the second one, so macroeconomic touches the gross domestic product, inflation, and unemployment, wherein gross domestic product is the total value of goods and services produced in the economy of the country in a short period of time. So example, we're going to measure the GDP of the country from 2000 to 2001. So that is gross domestic product of the country. Second is the inflation, wherein reflects the rise of prices or the fall of the value of money. So price level stability. Then the unemployment. When we say unemployment, so it is quite familiar. So it talks about the number of people or the label of people who seeks to find job. And the third one, the aggregate demand and supply. So in the aggregate demand, it is the sum of consumption, investment, government expenses, and even net exports. So it is a total amount of goods and services that the firms are willing to sell. So it is the amount of sales in the country. While the aggregate supply is the total outputs of an economy produces at a given levels. So it is a total of the goods and services that will purchase at all possible price levels. So it is the amount of products spent in the country. And in the unit 4, it is the aggregate equilibrium and economic growth. So when we talk about equilibrium, it is about balancing. So the balance of price, the balance of demand, and the balance of supply. Price quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supply. Then second one is the economic growth. So economic growth is the process of increasing the potential level of GDP. So as we talk here about the GDP, which is the total output economy generates, here in the economic growth, it is well defined that the process increasing the potential of GDP. So there are connections occurred between the different principles of economics. Next one, in the unit 5, it is money, banking, and monetary policy. The ways we use to define or measured money is very important in managing the economy. Of course, talking about economics, we usually think about money, about the price, about the demand, and about the supply. So, in other words, money is always present all the time. So, savings and investment are the key elements in the circular flow model. Here, so this is the circular flow of diagram. So, my circular flow diagram. Here, as you can see, there are factor markets. So, household sell, firms buy. So if they're selling, there is buying. So the second one, household, wherein sell factors of production, so buy products. And the third one, product market, so firm sell, household buy. And business, in the business, buy factors of product, So sell products. So this cycle is quite interrelated to each other. So in this cycle, as we can see, it is giving life by money. Because without money, there is no production. Without money, there is no buying and selling. So in other words, money is very important. So that's why we need to save money in order for us to provide our needs in our family, basic needs, consumption, and etc. So the ways we use to define to measure money is important. So to managing economy, of course, when we talk about economy, it talks about money. So it usually talks about money. Then the sixth one is the fiscal policy in relationship between inflation and unemployment. So it involves taxation, spending policies, including fiscal legislation, Congress. So here, it is included the law. So lawmakers is related to this one. So in fiscal, it is used by the governments that influence economy. So changes the level of taxation. But here, if there's a policy, it has also the negative effects, because this fiscal policy affects the unemployment rate of the country. So if this happens, the level of unemployment in the country will increases. But of course, in the taxation, it is very important, because capitalists, businessmen, entrepreneurs who expend money, who use money, who do businesses, they are obliged to pay taxes. Because in the gross domestic income and the gross national income of the country, so where can we find money? Especially nowadays, in times of pandemic, we really need a huge amount of money to buy vaccines to make sure our safety. But the problem is, Philippines have a greater ability or the capability to provide all the Filipinos. So we need to get money. So where can we get money? As you can see, or as you can observe, that the tax is increasing. Or if you remember the train law, which is products in the Philippines widely increased. So taxation increased also. But it both have negative and positive effects. The positive one is that we can have an amount of money, the government can have an amount of money to sustain the poor, to sustain those people or the community who needs help, who needs aid when it comes to financial or when it comes to their basic needs. But the negative one is that we cannot have, or we cannot eager to handle those prices which is very higher. We cannot provide. So there's an exemption also. So those millionaires, those billionaires, they can buy. But how about the ordinary people? How about the poor people who are struggling, who are suffering for the poverty, right? So of course, in every aspect, in every factors of life, there are both advantages and disadvantages. We must see to it how to handle both. So in the international trade and finance, the determinants of exchange rates are identified, and it is made between the financial capital flows and the trade balance. So we're traders anyways. So in this stage, so we are dealing with importation and exportation of products. So the economy of a country is not limited only in our area or in the inside the country, but we can purchase goods and services from foreign countries, which can help our economy to grow and to develop. Because it's not a bad thing to accept ideas from other countries. It's not a bad thing to share ideas and products, goods and services in other countries as well. Because our mind is full of ideas, and in this world there are many countries who can help us, who can share their thoughts, who can let us improve. So we must be open-minded by that. So there, and of course in our economy, we need to deal with different situations. So by then, international trade and finance is present in the principle of economics. So before I'll end this discussion, so let me say that in our life, we are dealing with economics every day, every minute and every second. As we woke up early in the morning, we need water, we need energy, we consume food, we live in our shelter, and all of that aspects is interrelated to economics. So without economics, we cannot live our life. Without economics, we're not living in this world. But before that, so we must see to it that we already know our needs and wants, to avoid scarcity, to avoid shortage. Because let me tell you this, our resources is limited, but our needs is unlimited. So there is an insufficient resources who can provide all the people in the world. So we must be responsible for it. No, we must see to it. We can let our economy develop. We can help our economy to develop. But we must see to it that the way we help our economy to develop cannot destroy the foundation in which we are starting with. Okay, get it? So thank you.
Welcome.